Welcome to our channel, where we dive deep into global travel insights. Today, we're exploring a topic that every Canadian traveler needs to be aware of: 10 countries where Canadians are not welcome in 2024. When discussing countries where Canadians or any other nationality might not be welcomed, it's crucial to tread carefully and responsibly. The perception of being unwelcome can be subjective, influenced by various factors such as political relations, cultural misunderstandings, or even recent global events. It's important to remember that these perceptions can change over time, and what might be true in one period might not be in the next. Additionally, many places that might seem unwelcoming on the surface could be so due to temporary situations, like political unrest or economic sanctions, rather than an inherent hostility towards Canadians. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries where Canadians might not be feeling so welcome in 2024. So, buckle up and get ready for an eye-opening journey around the globe. Number 10. Saudi Arabia. While Saudi Arabia is generally safe for visitors who strictly adhere to local laws and customs, the relationship between Canada and Saudi Arabia has been tense in recent years. In 2018, a diplomatic spat between the two countries led to the expulsion of the Canadian ambassador and the freezing of new trade and investment. Canadians who criticize the Saudi government or engage in activities that are deemed unacceptable by Saudi authorities could face severe consequences, including arrest or deportation. The strict social and religious rules, combined with the strained diplomatic relations, make Saudi Arabia a less welcoming destination for some Canadians. Number 9. Russia. The relationship between Canada and Russia has deteriorated significantly, particularly since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Canada has imposed numerous sanctions on Russia, and the Russian government has retaliated with its own measures. Canadians traveling to Russia may face heightened scrutiny, harassment, or even detention, particularly if they are perceived as being affiliated with the Canadian government or other Western institutions. The political climate in Russia, combined with the widespread anti-Western sentiment, creates an unwelcoming atmosphere for Canadian travelers in 2024. Number 8. Libya. Libya has been in a state of chaos since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, with various armed groups vying for control of different parts of the country. The Canadian government advises against all travel to Libya due to the high risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. Canadians who attempt to visit Libya may find themselves in a very dangerous situation, with little protection or support available from local authorities. The lack of a stable government and the ongoing violence make Libya an extremely unwelcoming destination for Canadians. Number 7. Iraq. While certain parts of Iraq have seen improvements in stability, the country remains a dangerous place for Canadians due to the ongoing threat of terrorism, armed conflict, and civil unrest. The Canadian government advises against all travel to many parts of Iraq, particularly areas outside of the Kurdistan region. Canadians visiting Iraq may face significant risks, including the possibility of being targeted by terrorist groups, becoming victims of kidnapping, or getting caught in violent incidents. Additionally, the complex political situation and the presence of multiple armed factions make Iraq a challenging and potentially hostile environment for Canadian travelers. Number 6. Yemen. Yemen has been devastated by a prolonged civil war, resulting in a severe humanitarian crisis. The Canadian government advises against all travel to Yemen due to the ongoing conflict, the risk of terrorism, and the lack of access to basic services. Canadians who attempt to visit Yemen may find themselves in extreme danger, with the risk of being caught in the crossfire of ongoing battles, targeted by terrorist groups, or facing severe hardship due to the collapse of the country's infrastructure. The situation in Yemen is dire, making it one of the least welcoming places for Canadians in 2024. Number 5. Afghanistan. Since the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan in 2021, the country has become a significantly more challenging and dangerous place for Canadians. The Canadian government strongly advises against all travel to Afghanistan due to the high risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. Canadians in Afghanistan may face extreme hostility, particularly those who were involved in the NATO mission or who have worked with the previous Afghan government. The Taliban's strict interpretation of Islamic law and their distrust of Westerners create a highly unwelcoming atmosphere for Canadian travelers. Number 4. Syria. Syria has been embroiled in a devastating civil war since 2011, making it one of the most dangerous places in the world for any traveler, including Canadians. The Canadian government has long advised against all travel to Syria due to the ongoing conflict, the high risk of terrorism, and the potential for kidnapping. The situation in Syria remains volatile, and Canadians who attempt to travel there could find themselves in extreme danger, with little to no support available from Canadian consular services. The presence of various armed groups and the lack of functioning government infrastructure make Syria an exceedingly hostile environment for Canadian visitors. Number 3. Venezuela. Venezuela's ongoing political and economic crisis has made it a challenging destination for Canadians. The Canadian government advises against all non-essential travel to Venezuela due to crime, civil unrest, the arbitrary enforcement of laws, and the poor state of infrastructure. Canadians visiting Venezuela might find themselves facing difficulties such as lack of access to basic services, widespread crime, and the potential for sudden political unrest. The strained relations between Canada and the Venezuelan government, particularly after Canada recognized the opposition leader Juan Guaido as the interim president in 2019, also contribute to a less welcoming environment for Canadian travelers. Venezuela's political instability and economic crisis have led to strained relations with many Western countries, including Canada. The Canadian government has been vocal in its criticism of the Venezuelan government's handling of political and economic issues, which has contributed to diplomatic tensions. Number 2. Iran. The relationship between Canada and Iran has been strained for years, particularly since Canada closed its embassy in Tehran in 2012. The Canadian government advises against all travel to Iran due to the risk of arbitrary detention, particularly for dual nationals. Canadians of Iranian descent are often at greater risk, and there have been numerous cases of individuals being detained without clear charges. Additionally, the political tension between Iran and Western nations, including Canada, adds to the challenges and potential risks for Canadians visiting the country. Number 1. North Korea. North Korea has long been a difficult country for Canadians, and most Westerners, to visit. The Canadian government strongly advises against all travel to North Korea, citing the risk of arbitrary detention, the strict control over foreign visitors, and the lack of diplomatic representation. Canadians who have ventured into North Korea have found themselves closely monitored, with little freedom to explore independently. The country's isolationist policies, combined with tense relations with the West, make North Korea an unwelcoming destination for most Canadians. North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, is notorious for its isolationist policies and strict control over foreign visitors. The country's leadership views foreign presence with suspicion, and the Canadian government has a limited ability to provide consular assistance in the event of an emergency. While it's important to be aware of the potential challenges that Canadians might face when traveling to certain countries, it's equally important to approach these situations with nuance and understanding. Many of the countries listed above are facing complex political, social, and economic issues that contribute to a perception of unwelcomeness. However, this doesn't mean that all Canadians will have negative experiences in these places. In many cases, those who respect local customs, stay informed about the local situation, and maintain a low profile can still have meaningful and safe experiences. Travelers should always consult the latest travel advisories and conduct thorough research before visiting any country with potential risks. The world is constantly changing, and what may seem unwelcoming today could become more accessible tomorrow. Conversely, countries that are currently welcoming may face challenges in the future. By staying informed and exercising caution, Canadians can navigate these complexities and continue to explore the world responsibly. Traveling the world is a dream for many, but it's important to stay informed and prioritize safety. While these countries might present challenges for Canadians in 2024, the world is full of incredible destinations where you can explore, learn, and create unforgettable memories. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more travel updates and tips. And as always, travel safe and smart, wherever your journey takes you. Until next time, happy travels.